Good afternoon, DCJ.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
All right. Well, this is not your first time in that seat, so you know the drill. You can't be nervous. Are you comfortable?
I'm comfortable, thank you.
Good. Okay. Your last interview was in October 2021
That's correct.
for a position in this same division.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we have that on record, so I'm hoping that there won't be many questions for you. You started your career in the legal field, even if you were not a lawyer then, in the magistrates' court way back in 1974 as a clerk of the court.
Yes, that's correct.
You must have been a lad fresh from high school then.
Yes, direct from the high school,
Yeah.
and then I started to work at the magistrates' court in Krugersdorp, and then I started to study through UNISA.
So you worked your way up the magistracy from clerk of the court to being a prosecutor and then became a magistrate
That's correct, yes.
while studying on the side.
Yes,
And in that process, you obtained 4 qualifications, a deep juris and deep legum, and then you did a B juris and then an LLB,
that's correct.
all
through
part-time.
UNISA. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. You left the magistrates' court to join the bar
Yes, that was in 1994.
in 1994, so you've been at the bar since.
That's correct.
And you have been acting since 2013.
2013, that's correct.
Well, acting as a judge, that is. And how long? What's the cumulative?
210 weeks.
And you have a long list of judgments, written judgments, to show for all this time all those stints.
Yes, I've handed down more than 129 judgments.
Yeah.
That's apart from extempore judgments.
Yes. Well, since we have interviewed you for this very same position more than once, and we have all the vital stats, if I may call them that, on record, there does not seem to be much to ask you. What would you like to bring to the attention, well, to add to what we already have on you that has happened since October 2021?
Yes, I think what I want to highlight is that I'm very thankful to have the opportunity that JP gave me for the acting stints, and since the last time I appear here, I've gained a lot of experience, especially in civil work. When I started to act, I was doing the circuit courts, criminal courts, Western Circuit, Eastern Circuit. I've acted in Mpumalanga, and I gained quite a lot of, because my practice initially was mostly criminal work. So, but since I've been acting, I've done 90% civil work while I was acting. So I had the opportunity to cover all the areas of law. I've sat in the unopposed motions court. I sat in the opposed motions court, civil trials, in the tax court, urgent court. So yes, I've done it all.
Yeah. And you were conferred with silk in 2010?
2010, yes, I took silk.
Yeah. How old are you now? 68?
Yes, I'm 68.
Yeah.
I've turned 68 in May this year.
In May. You know, I raise this because for some, it might be seen as a bar to appointment, because if you are appointed, you won't have long to serve before you actually retire.
Yes, I'm
Would you-
aware of that.
Yeah, what would you say to ages who want to use your age against you?
Well, you know, to me, age is just in the mind. They said with age comes wisdom. I don't see age at this stage, my age, as an impediment to be appointed as a judge. I can still serve the judiciary for a period of 7 years until 75 years. So I can still make a vast contribution with my experience. And yes, so I don't see age at this stage as an impediment.
And you are...
I'm healthy and...
yeah, I was going to raise that. You are in good health by all appearances.
Yes, thank you. I'm in good health. I can still, I know, you know, most of the time I've been acting here in the Gauteng division, which is a very busy division, and the workload is, it's a high workload, but I cope. I was able, throughout my stints, to deliver my judgments within 3 months. There might be one or two that was 1 day later than 3 months, but all of them were handed down within 3 months. So I'm very diligent in the work that I'm doing. I'm a hard worker, and yes, I feel that I'm very competent to do the work that as a judge.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Strijdom. I'm going to hand over to my colleagues, the other commissioners, to put questions to you. JP Mlambo.
Thank you very much, DCJ. Goedemiddag, JJ.
Good day, JP.
Hoe gaat het?
Dit gaan goed, dankie.
Gaat het goed?
Ja.
Ex-blamed at the war. Advocate Strijdom, I think the DCJ has mentioned, we've interviewed you before, but you've acted a very long time. And just for it to go out there, it's not because I favor you, but you know that I call you urgently when I have a judge falls sick, because it's difficult for advocates generally to say, okay, I can come within a week's notice or whatever.
Yes.
You've been prepared to assist in that regard. That's why you have stacked up so much acting time. Am I correct?
That's correct, JP.
And the upside of this is you've done a lot of work in the heavy lifting areas. I count 7 weeks in the agent court. I count 8 weeks in the special motions court. I count 28 weeks in the opposed motions courts. I count 47 weeks in criminal trials. You've actually acted in almost all the work areas except for tax, I think. You've not done any work in the tax court. Oh, you did a week, yeah.
1 week, yes.
Yeah. So, and I'm asking you these questions to say, have you had any serious criticism, like the bar sometimes tells us, about any of the judgments you've written, especially in the special motion role, which has the complex cases?
Yes.
Have you?
No, JP, not.
Have you struggled with any of the judgments?
No. I haven't struggled with any of those judgments, and because of the experience that I gained, it was not difficult for me.
Yes.
To compile my judgments, and as you will see that I sat in full court appeals with other judges, senior judges, where in most of the times where I sat in a full court appeal, they asked me to write the judgment.
Yes.
So yes, I'm comfortable
Yeah.
in my judgment.
Let's deal with the age issue. You've effectively been acting continuously. I'll put it at 7 years. It could be higher.
Yes.
Now, you say you have another 7 years to go to 75. So there's no issue with you because you've effectively been doing the work, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yes, I'm still doing, at the moment I'm also acting. And I'm still doing the work. I was doing the urgent court in the recess. I think that's what I also want to indicate. I've submitted another schedule to just to indicate that I've also sat in the urgent court now in the last recess.
Yeah, yeah. So you don't see any challenge to you to sit in a special motion? In fact, in the latter years, the last year and the previous year, you've been acting more in Johannesburg, where there's the commercial work, and you've had no problems.
No problems.
I see. And as you say, your judgments, it's a very long list of judgments, and your industry is no doubt. So I want to thank you very much for having been available to assist the division. Thank you, DCJ. I've got no further questions.
Thank you, Judge President. Premier? We seem to have lost the Premier. Oh, you there? Do you have do you have questions for Mr. Strijdom?
No, I clarified on the issue of age. Fine, thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Your line has become a little garbled again.
I was saying I was clarified on the age. So I'm covered. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Minister, do you have questions? Okay. Prof. Marumachai?
Thank you very much, DCJ. Good afternoon, Judge Strijdom.
Hi, good afternoon, Commissioner.
I have one question for you, which I think perhaps it may have confronted you in some of your sittings. Can a court make a determination on a dispute of fact in motion proceedings without hearing an oral evidence? If it can,
Yes.
on what basis?
Yes, you're referring to the Plascon-Evans rule, where you can consider, you can take a robust approach also in a post-motion, but if you apply the Plascon-Evans rule, that is where you consider the evidence or the version of the respondent and any admissions made by the applicant, and then on that basis you must decide whether you can grant the relief sought.
Thank you very much. Thank you, CJ, Deputy Chief Justice.
Commissioner King?
Thank you, DCJ. Good afternoon, Mr. Strijdom.
Hi, good afternoon, Commissioner.
You may have heard the other interviews, but in them I've been giving opportunities to candidates, given the competition for only 4 spaces, to elaborate on the nature of the community-based orientation they've had in life and their involvement in bar affairs and what contribution they've made. As a long-standing member of the bar, I assume you have engaged in bar affairs and made a contribution, and this is your opportunity to just tell us about that.
Yes. Well, I was part of the lecture program. I lectured the pupils in criminal law for quite a few years. And then I was also in charge of the Prodeo. At that time, there was a Prodeo system. And I was in charge of the Prodeo system to allocate Prodeos to junior counsels for people who cannot afford a lawyer or an advocate. And then I've also done a lot of pro bono work And even now that the last recess, I was doing 1 week pro bono as a judge, acting as a judge on a pro bono basis. So yes, I think I've made a vast contribution on that aspect.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions from the virtual platform?
Yes, please, Deputy Chief Justice, it's Clarence Breitenbach.
Yes.
Aye.
Ask your questions, Commissioner.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Justice. Good afternoon, Mr. Strijdom.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
I must declare upfront that I know Mr. Strijdom very well. We have litigated against each other many prosecutor.
Yes.
My question is not so much a question, or a comment. Mr. Strijdom was not only very well liked. I'm going to turn off my video to try and get better.
No, we can see you now. Oh, you disappeared again, but we can still hear you.
Okay, so is the sound better now?
Yes.
Mr. Strijdom was not only a opponent, he was also a well-respected opponent, always very well prepared. The most important aspect I would like to highlight is Mr. Strijdam's word was always his bond. And in criminal law, that's not only rare, but very highly prized quality.
I'm not
Thank
sure.
you.
Oh, okay. Have you finished?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Chief Justice.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner Breitenbach. I don't know if you want to say anything to the statement that was just made.
No, I can only confirm that.
So it's all true.
Yes.
All right. Commissioner Matoro Dlebo?
Thank you, Deputy Chief Justice. On a lighter note, Advocate Strijdom, I see on your questionnaire you used 2 pens, the one lighter and the one darker. Was it because you were writing a lot of judgments, having to interchange your 4 pens?
I don't see any further hands, colleagues. Well, that's the end of the interview, Mr. Strijdom.
Thank you.
Let me
CJ.
just join Judge President Mlambo in thanking you for the sterling service, your sterling service to the judiciary, and for not giving up. I hope things go your way this time, but we'll see. You're excused.
Thank you. Thank you, DCJ.